got a really neat text from somebody who is a Muslim, and he really liked the way we handled the Muslim Christian comparison last time. So I thought that was really good. We had good interchange, and one of the things that I think is valuable is we both agreed that while there are similarities, there are major differences. And when we don't do that, when we don't recognize that in anything in life, it downplays truth, right? One of the things that I mentioned the last time we had our spirituality talk is the book Partly Right. The title of the book was Partly Right. And basically I've been just kind of borrowing that, and will continue to borrow that, talking about other religions other than Christianity, and highlighting where they, in my opinion, are partly right. They're partly right. And I wanted to finish up on some of the things from Islam from last week, and ways that Islam agrees with Christianity. Now, Islam is not Christianity. There are so many major differences, and we will continue to highlight those differences, not just with Islam, but Judaism, Jehovah's Witness, Mormonism, on down the road. But when we talk about any of these, I think it's important for us to build bridges, because that's basically what was happening in that text, is we were building bridges towards each other. And that's the best thing for our society, is building those bridges. Hey, let's look what we have in common, because with that comes peace, right? We're able to live together in a peaceful society. So a few more areas where Islam and Christianity agree, or I would say Islam is partly right, are Jesus healed the sick. Both agree on that. Jesus raised the dead. The bodily ascension of Jesus into heaven. Islam also agrees with that there is a real Satan, real angels, and real demons, that God created the universe. And both are actually pro-life. In this, they all agree that there is one God. So the big $10 word for that is monotheism. They believe in one God. Whereas now, we're going to highlight today Mormonism. So Mormonism, a lot of times people think, hey, Mormons are, the fancy name is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. There's a really nice building on 119 Cahaba Valley Road. And a lot of times people think, hey, that's just the same as Lutherans or Baptists or Assembly of God. But did you know that Mormons are actually polytheists? So they actually have more in common with Hinduism. Now, I know you guys know about Hindus and the many gods, or the polytheism, because you've eaten at an Indian restaurant and you've seen all of the statues that point to other gods. So in my mind, the way I kind of break this down is I kind of categorize different religions, right? Monotheists are Christians, Islam, Judaism, Jehovah's Witness. Polytheists are Mormons, Hinduism, Marcianism, which you probably don't know about. We're going to talk about it today too. And that helps me. You got the grapplers and the strikers, you see, and then underneath the grapplers and the strikers, you start breaking it down. What are the rules for each martial art, if we were to use that martial art analogy again? So let's talk a little bit more about Mormonism. This is the fundamental quote that I always remember when I think of Mormonism. This is so important, and I'm going to actually read it, so make sure I don't mess it up. The quote is, "As man is, God once was. And as God is, man may become." Let me read it again since it's early in the morning. As man is, as you and I, as humankind is right now, God once was. And as God is right now, you and I can become. Now, do you see a problem with that? So do you see there's some polytheism going on there? And I wonder, I don't know, I've never been to a Mormon meeting, but I wonder if your average person who walks in there on a Sunday morning even knows that. I bet they don't. Now, this is not something that I came up with, because when I hear some Southern Baptists say, well, this is what they believe, and this is what they believe, and this is like, all right, buddy, how do you know this? We need to hear it from them, not from you. And I remember watching in 2000, and actually the year 2000, this was published, so 26 years ago, there was a DVD that was entitled The Mormon Puzzle. And it was published by the Southern Baptist Convention. And the value of it was that they were interviewing Mormon leaders, high up Mormon leaders in Utah. And they were asking them questions. And that's where I heard it with my own ears. That's where I heard this, as man is, God once was, and as God is, man may become. I didn't make that up. That is from the mouth of the leaders, you see. And I don't even know if you can get that DVD now, but it would be interesting, you know, to see if you can find it. But that's the Mormon Puzzle. Ecclesiastes 1:9. Try to read it really loud so the camera picks it up.
All right. What has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun.
Yeah, read it one more time.
What has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun.
There's nothing new under the sun. So I'm not an expert in Islam. I'm not an expert in Mormonism, Jehovah's Witnesses, any of these things I'm talking about. I'm not an expert. I've just studied a little bit about them. From my understanding, Mormonism began in the 1820s in New York. Okay, it's pretty new on the whole world scheme, but there's nothing new under the sun. Back in the Old Testament, the people of Israel were being tempted to believe in more than one God. And that was a big deal. God was like, no, I'm a jealous God. There's only one God. You see, there's nothing new under the sun. And so this is not something that just happened and started in the 1820s. These ideas are not new. You look back far enough, and as Christians, what we need to do is recognize, like, oh, I've heard something like that before. Where have I heard it? Oh, that reminds me of Hinduism, or that reminds me of such and such, you see? All right, I'll use another example of it. Has anybody ever heard of Marcianism? Oh, this is a good one. Part of what I'm hoping to do here is I'm not going to live forever. I'm hoping that the things I'm teaching, you guys will be teaching in another venue. You see what I'm saying? Maybe it's a volleyball tournament where you have other friends who are volleyball players, and you know, a golf situation or whatever, and you guys are doing what we're doing so that we learn from history, right? If we don't learn from history, what happens? It repeats itself. So this Marcianism stuff is good stuff. If you don't remember it, you can look at the video and you can use this and just repeat it, right? So Marcion, let's talk about him. He was around AD 144. So 144 years after the death of Christ. There's nothing new under the sun, by the way, right? That's a lot further back than the 1820s. He taught that there were two gods. There was the angry God of the Old Testament and the kind, loving God of the New Testament. Two gods. What is that? That's polytheism. Exactly. That's polytheism. And guess what? The God of the New Testament, Jesus, he was not virgin born. Interesting, right? Because remember last week we talked about virgin birth? I just added Marcion on this side. There you go. That's right. You remember. Christianity and Islam both teach the virgin birth, and that there Islam is partly right, but guess on this side, Judaism, Unification Church, the Moonies, Marcion, no virgin birth. All right, so it's interesting. There's nothing new under the sun. And so he just appeared as a grown man. during the reign of Tiberius. And guess what else Marcion did? He did not like Judaism. So he was anti-Semitic. And so he cut out the whole Hebrew Bible, what we as Christians call the Old Testament, right? He cut it out, and guess what else he did? He got rid of any Jewish influence from the New Testament and basically created his own little Bible. Tiny little sliver, right? If you start cutting out the Jewish influence of the Bible, you don't have much left, because as Christians, we believe that Christianity is the true revelation of Judaism, right? It's not two separate religions. We believe that it's the revelation of the Old Testament. That's the Hebrew Bible, right? So our Christianity dates a long time ago also. But he cut all that Jewish out. And guess who used his work? Who else didn't like Jewish? Huh?
Hitler?
Exactly. There's nothing new under the sun. So he would use some of Marcion's theology. Did you know he had a German Christian church? There was nothing Christian about it, by the way. It was satanic. It was so wrong, but he called it Christian, right? You can call anything, but is it really what you call it, you see? And he used that, Marcion's theology, for getting rid of Jewish ideas and Jewish people and such. By the 2nd and 3rd centuries, this is the crazy thing about Marcion, is he was content in 144 to work within the framework of the regular Christian church. As a matter of fact, he was willing to give a lot of money just for him to let his teaching go on. Isn't that crazy? And to the point to where in the 2nd and 3rd centuries, Christians were warned, don't accidentally go to a Marcion church. They looked so similar. Today, you think about the average person out there. They're driving down the road, and they're just like, okay, that's a building, and it says the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Man, I know some people who are really good. I may check them out. They're a church. They're Christian. Or what about the Kingdom Hall? You're driving down the road and you see a Kingdom Hall Jehovah's Witness. Those people are super disciplined. They're out in neighborhoods, and they definitely don't go along with a lot of the bad stuff that's going on. Hey, they're just a regular church, right? No. They may look like they're Christian, but they're not. They are partly right.